And I said, that was bad. And he said, no, that was nothing compared to what I have seen.
Oh my goodness. You would not even want to know.
Yeah.
You would not want to know. It was horrible. And I was so happy for Brandon, the opportunity for him to promote it and to be able to show his best self in a environment where he was appreciated. So I was really happy for him, and I knew that he would be successful. Good morning, Dr. Lamb.
Good morning.
Morning.
How is everybody?
Doing good.
Dr. Lamb, should I introduce you to Mr. Mark Putnam, who is the HR?
I'm just Dale. That's close enough. Welcome. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Putnam, this is the awesome Dr. Dale Lamb.
There we go.
Yes. I see you got your Santa. You're getting ready for the 25th.
I got my Santa going.
Yes. I love it. Good.
That's what.
There we go. That's great.
I've already started. I've done a couple so far. It's getting earlier and earlier every year. Halloween's Christmas now.
Yep,
this is true. This is very true. They pushed right past Thanksgiving. This is true.
And it's amazing how much sooner that I have to start every year. I've got my book right here. I do How to Catch an Elf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, it's put the personal appearances at schools. We do fundraisers. We fix a link and we do pictures with Santa, and we partnered with Scholastic, where every kid in the school gets a book, and I go from room to room and read with them, but we do pictures in the library. It's an all-day thing. And between the fundraisers, the book fair, the pictures, all that, we do Chromebooks. I've got a couple over here in the corner. But I picked up. We do these it's a fundraiser for schools to get Chromebooks in their one-to-one initiatives. Partner with Title I schools in Cleveland County, where Gardner Webb is located, and we've gone as far north as you can go up to Kaiser, as far south as you can go out to having a senior moment here, District 5. That there's a little school out there, but anyway. That's what we're doing, and then a couple of other things, churches and private things. But COVID has hurt us, but we're trying to get back.
Good, very good.
So I normally wouldn't look this ridiculously bushy, but it's for a good cause, I guess. And I shed worse than a dog, but that's just part of it. But we appreciate what you've done for Kim and partnering with us and with her. Most importantly, what you've done with her. Yeah. And our classes, I know, are boring and long and all those things. And I think the real learning comes from the time that they spend partnered with a real life organization. And it fits in the theme of our university, which is service. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is service. For God and humanity. That's the Pro Deo et Humanitate. That's the motto at Gardner Webb, and this program embodies that. That's the actual what this program was designed around, is service. I just jumped off the grad faculty meeting. I was on it virtually this morning, and Dr. Bobby was there this morning, and she's proposing that we do a master's in public works and again, a kind of a companion program to this for folks who are in city county government, a master's in public administration. Again, as a continue for working adults, a continuation of the service theme, and so we're trying to do that as well. And so, thank you for allowing us to do this, because it furthers our mission, what we're all about as a Christian university.
And it has also helped us, especially my department, opened our eyes to things that we can help our employees with. So it's been It's been a two-way street. Don't
That's
think it's
great.
a one-way street. It's been a two-way street, and we appreciate that.
Well, great. And that's the entire notion is it's supposed to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And again, it's not a theoretical program. It's it's a clinical, it's an actual program about that affects real people's lives.
Yes, sir.
And the services that everybody is trying to deliver. Because you folks are in the same business as us, you're trying to deliver services to people, make the quality of their life better.
Yes, yes.
And that's the whole notion. And so it's been a wonderful partnership. And again, I want to thank you for that. I see David, one of my current doctoral students, is with us this morning. And David, he works in city county government in Gaston County, and he's doing his project in Anson County. And so we have a lot of city county folks, and we're very, very pleased to have them. There's David. Good morning, David.
Hi, David.
And so, and David's doing he's kicked over the anthill in Anson County because he's doing zoning ordinance work for his consultancy. Not the least little bit controversial.
Not at all.
It's hard to serve people sometimes. This is, we leave it at that. But I think he's not learned anything from me, but he's learned a lot from them. So that's the whole notion. I don't care who you learn from, as long as you learn. And he's a servant. He's a servant leader as well. And so we're very pleased to all the folks that we have working in city county government. Well, Kim, I got your slideshow last night. It's wonderful. So why don't you share that with us and work through it this morning?
Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Gotta move my screen so I can see. Okay. All right. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see my screen?
Good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Well, we've done some introductions already, but I would just say good morning again. My name is Kim Roberts, and I am pleased to present my final presentation for defense for Gardner-Webb University. And it is entitled Whole Health Malden, Holistic Health for Happier, More Productive People and Workplaces. And if I may, at the very beginning, just in case anyone is wondering why the W is in brackets, it is on purpose, it is intentional, it is a play on words. Holistic is absent of the W. And so in order to make that inclusive, because this whole program and this whole concept is actually about whole and holistic people. And so therefore, that is why the W is in brackets. Beginning with the background of this project, it's based on personal experience and professional interests, which both tie in to each other, meaning that I have never been offered anything other than a wellness program via all of my employers. And so the interest for me and the experience for me derives from that very fact that I've never been offered anything other than a wellness program. And so therefore, on a professional level, I am more aware that there is more to me than just the wellness aspect of my person. You may be wondering, why is there an YMCA bullet in this background slide? Well, I'm so very glad that you asked. The purpose of that is during my research, I found that back in 1891, Dr. Luther Gulick suggested a symbol for an organization that is still standing very strong today. And we recognize that symbol as a part of that organization, which is the YMCA, and it's the red triangle. And he suggested that all three sides of that red triangle are equal. They are all needed and they're all necessary and essential to man's essential unity, which is the mind, the body, and the spirit. And in order for the man to be whole, these three things were needed. So what stood out to me is the fact that even back in the late 1800s, at least one person recognized and realized and appreciated the fact that there is more to man than just his physical well-being. Fast forwarding to our current day and time, I had the pleasure of partnering with the city of Malden, which is located in Greenville, South Carolina, and they house approximately 200 staff. I was able to join this partnership via my sponsor, Mr. Mark Putnam, who is the Human Resources Director for the organization. Now, the organization has a current wellness program. The issue surrounding that is the fact that it primarily focuses on physical wellness, which is typical of organizations and the programs that they offer. And so the focus, in order to be able to change that, we discussed as we had our conversations, we realized that there needed to be a shift in the workplace culture in order to be able to change the focus and increase the focus to where it was prioritizing the employees and not just their physical aspect, but the whole person as it pertains to the employee. It also ties into, well, let me move to the next. I don't want to jump ahead. Okay, the purpose of this project was basically to just to offer to the city of Malden a more comprehensive and holistic well-being model that had 6 areas of focus. As I said earlier, they already have a wellness program. The idea was not to discard their program, but was to build on their program and to enhance their program. And this was particularly important in light of COVID. As we all know, the first quarter of last year, we were hit with COVID-19. We are still dealing with the variances of such. And so this program was particularly important for this particular time. The 6 areas of focus that this model encompasses is physical well-being, spiritual well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, financial well-being, and social well-being. All of these things together are hoping to lead to the retaining and the recruitment of the talent that they have and those that might be forthcoming to decrease the healthcare costs for the organization and for the employee, and to increase productivity, not just for the organization, but for the employees as well. And then it also ties into the mission and the vision of Malden City, which is to have quality services provided so that Malden City can continue to be a highly desirable place to live and to work, and then to incorporate or provide an environment that enhances the quality of life. All of this ties into incorporating and practicing a work-life balance that creates the best version of themselves. Again, not just professionally, but personally as well. The scope used for this project involved research, of course, and data analysis, which I will get into a little bit later. And at the end, it was to develop a holistic and well-being model or initiative, introduce that to Malden City to help them with the purpose, which is to focus on the whole employee. The scope, of course, is not just about biometrics. It's not just about cholesterol levels and diabetes and heart health and dieting and exercising. The scope goes way beyond the biometrics, and it includes that whole person, which were the 6 areas that I just spoke about. And the approach, again, was action research, which I will talk about that in just a few. It involved the leadership team and the human resource staff. As I stated, Malden City has like 200 employees. It was going to be almost impossible for me to survey 200 employees. So therefore, I chose the leadership team and the HR staff, which totaled 12 people. The approach in regards to that was to issue 2 surveys. They were quantitative in method, issue 2 surveys. And the purpose of using the leadership team was to get buy-in, of course, from the leadership team, practice what you preach type theory, lead by example type theory, so that if I could get the leadership team on board, then the concept would be that the staff would follow. As a result of the action research, the purpose was to find at least 3 key areas that needed improvement and then to go forward and work from there. And then finally, the deliverables to Mr. Putnam, would be a well-being brochure and a bulletin and a flyer. And I'll just say that the brochure itself offers and encompasses those 6 areas. And it also offers at least 3 activities per area that employees can either participate in on an individual basis or in a group setting. And they are also set up though so that just in case we are in shutdown, people don't feel comfortable because of COVID, they can also engage virtually if they don't feel comfortable engaging in person. And then the flyer or bulletin, the purpose of it was to have them posted throughout the facility, in elevators, even in bathrooms, on bulletin boards, in break rooms, and to just everywhere they looked, they saw this introduction to this new initiative. And then as a nod to innovation, we included a QR code. So for those that want to save trees and don't want to deal with paper, but they still want to have this information on the go, the bulletin has a QR code embedded in it that will take them to the brochure and give them further information about the initiative. The outcome data, which is pretty important. I feel like it is the pulse of the project, actually. I used the quantitative method, which involved 2 surveys, which I spoke of earlier. The first survey issued was the Denison Organizational Culture Survey, and the second was the Well-Being Survey. Now, the purpose of choosing these 2 surveys, the Denison survey was chosen because the purpose of it is to gain a better understanding of where the culture is in the particular subject matter that you're referencing. And so this was the best tool if we were interested in changing the culture of, or shifting the culture per se of Malden City. This document was the best way to be able to get that information, to get a better understanding of the culture of the organization. The survey had 48 questions that were broken down into 4 areas. Those areas were adaptability, mission, involvement, and consistency. And it did show a disconnect between the leadership and the staff. The way that the scoring took place for the Denison survey, it was a mean score based on 2.0 being high, being strengths, and 2.0 and below, 2.0 and above, were strengths, 2.0 below were weaknesses. And so we were able to determine that there was a disconnect between the leadership and the staff. The staff did not feel like they had an understanding of their wants and their needs from the leadership staff, that their recommendations were not heard, and that they did not lead to change, and that they did not value failures as a means to be able to make improvements. And so the well-being survey, the purpose of the well-being survey, of course, was to better understand exactly where the weaknesses and the strengths lie within the organization as it pertains to the staff members and how they feel about their work and their work environment. And the weaknesses in that area displayed that staff were dissatisfied with their work and with their careers. Now, the well-being survey had 8 sections that had 6 questions each. And those 8 areas were emotional, environmental, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, spiritual, and burnout. The scores were evaluated a little bit differently because the options for the participants ranged from strongly agree to strongly disagree and agree. And so the 3 areas that were the lowest scoring revealed that the staff did not feel personally satisfied with their work, that they didn't feel content with their career status, and that they were not developing the skills necessary to achieve their career goals. The lit review for this project revealed to me several different things. I highlighted 3 of those things. And the first one that was repeated quite often was that there is a difference between wellness and well-being. Most of us use those words interchangeably, but they do not mean the same thing. Wellness, as I said before, primarily focuses on the physical aspect of the individual. Again, diabetes, cholesterol, diet and exercise, heart health, that type thing. Well-being encompasses the whole individual because there's more to us than just our physical being. being healthy is important. Having low cholesterol levels and that type of thing is important, but it's not all that there is to us as individuals. And I also found that it resounded that there was an increased need for well-being programs, and they're becoming quite common across the country, especially since the onset of COVID-19. And then finally, I also found that funding incentives to increase promotion and to increase participation in such programs were really good tools. Moving on to the conceptual framework, which is the fun part of the project, I chose Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Hertzberg's two-factor theory. And Maslow's theory basically says that there are 5 things that a person actually needs. And usually it's displayed in the form of a pyramid from the bottom going up, and the bottom level being physiological, then moving to safety, then belongingness and love, esteem, and then self-actualization. And basically the theory states that all of these things are needed in order for a person to be whole or to be satisfied. Hertzberg, who is a spinoff per se, or got his idea from Maslow, his two-factor theory just basically says that there are certain factors that cause workplace dissatisfaction, and there are certain things that cause workplace satisfaction. Now, these two connect with the purpose of this project simply because they both intend to discover what actually motivates people and focuses on the needs of individuals, which brings us back to the purpose. The purpose of this project is to focus on the employees at Malden City, to be able to find out what motivates them, to be able to find out what's going to make them whole and happy and healthy so that they can become more productive. My action plan derived from those weaknesses that I just discussed earlier, 2 of them from the Denison survey and 2 of them from the well-being survey. And so the first recommendation to address the disconnect between staff and leadership was to form a committee, a focus committee that would be comprised of the staff of Malden City. And the purpose would be for them to meet as would be deemed necessary as the chair, but on a regular basis. And to be able to collect and gather concerns from their peers, bring those concerns to the table, and then those concerns would then be forwarded to the city manager, and then he in turn would follow up with responding to those concerns and those recommendations. This would definitely help try to close that gap and to close that disconnect between what was obvious based on the results of the survey. The second action plan recommendation is to organize a staff retreat, again, to close that gap between the 2 entities. It is obvious that you cannot have a team if you do not have a relationship. And so if there's, if a relationship, if it's void of a relationship, then there is no team. So one way to build the team is to develop and have them participate in an annual retreat. And then to address the weaknesses from the well-being survey, the City of Malden has a market tuition reimbursement program. Use what you already have. Promote that via mass emails, social media, emails, text messages, whatever it takes to bring exposure to what you already have. It's an excellent marketing tool. And then finally, to develop a mentorship program. And basically the mentorship program would empower the staff in personal development and professional development and help them to identify and achieve career goals and increase their confidence, and then at the same time, build professional networks. The risk and constraints surrounding this project, the risk was initially to be able to get buy-in from the city manager and from the human resource director. Once it was presented to them, if they were not interested, then I would have had to move on. And then of course, to get employee buy-in, of course, was necessary, because without employee buy-in, without employee participation, there is no program. COVID-19, as has been mentioned a few times up until this point, is definitely a risk. We are still in the COVID-19 pandemic. It is ever changing, it's ever evolving, and so therefore it is a risk. And as with any project, funding is always going to be a risk because it can come and go, especially during this time. The constraints for the project, basically, there were no similar projects or similar programs in the area to be able to compare this well-being program to. And so therefore it could be a hard sell if there's nothing to compare it to. And then also, if there is a more immediate need, if something comes up that is more important than this program to the organization, then it could be pushed off to the side, or it could be pushed off of the table altogether. And then, of course, again, COVID-19 is a continual restraint as it is a risk. The quality assurance plan, what I chose was the plan, do, study, and act model. Basically, the initial plan was to launch this program, to make sure that the staff knew that the city of Malden cares about them, not just their physical well-being, but they care about all aspects. And so the goal was to launch this program that deposits a priority on its employees. The do area was the 2 surveys that I talked about, using that quantitative method. And those survey results, we were hoping to be able to identify any cultural deficits, any self-care obstacles, things that might get in the way of this program being a success. The study aspect was to simply analyze and summarize the quantitative data that we received from those 2 surveys, and then acting upon that and implementing, we would do a brief follow-up with that survey with those who participated in the program, and then take recommendations from those and then put them into play to increase participation and to make improvements in the plan because it is designed for ongoing changes and improvements as needed. My reflection is twofold. As I reflect on this project, in regards to the project itself, and if I would change anything, I would definitely emphasize and promote the well-being program in the onboarding process. Like I said, it is a great marketing tool, and it is something that the average person looking for a job, looking for employment, has never heard of before. And so if it is promoted properly during the onboarding process, I think it would be a great attraction to be able to recruit great talent. I would also add additional areas to the well-being model. In my research, there were some that had 7, there were some that had 8. So I would look at adding models, adding some additional areas to the model, and also adding funding incentives to increase participation and to promote the initiative. On a personal level, just plain and simple, my personal focus in regards to the importance of well-being, I can hardly explain. I've always just thought of the physical part of me was good. If my physical body was great, then the rest of me would fall into place. And that is so untrue, as has come to light with this project. And so I am more self-aware of how important it is to be well as a whole person versus just focusing on me as a physical person. And then the areas for future study. If I were to take this project a step further, I would like to examine the direction of well-being. We focus mainly on those of us who are considered average, everyday lay people, and we don't consider that there are others out there who have issues and who have concerns, who have problems, such as personality disorders and mental illness, post-traumatic stress disorders, and those type of things. And so I would like to examine the future of well-being as it pertains to these alternative issues that a lot of Americans have. These are my references. And prior to me asking for questions, I just want to let you all know that I am appreciative of your time and of your attention. And at this point, if you have any questions, I will be happy to entertain them.
Hearing none. Kim, thank you for your presentation. Excellent as always. If you'll stop your screen share, I'll now share my screen, and we'll go through the back office work of today. I would like to welcome Dr. Jeff Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton is the DEOL program coordinator. Welcome, Dr. Hamilton. I will share my screen, and we will work through our program from my perspective here.
That's a lot.
I think you've answered all the things in the first 9, as we know, which is kind of the back office part of this. You've answered each of those 9. And so I will, I'll move through these and ask you specifically during your DEOL coursework, which course impacted you the most and why?
Wow. I would have to say that it is the course that caused me the most pain, that made me the most anxious, that I did not want to take. And that would be the course taught by Dr. Emily de Freitas. I think it was 740. It was the e-learning class.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely opposed because I am not a technical person. And so I did not want to take the class, although I'm so glad that I did take the class because as a leader, you have to be open to change. And of course, we live in a world that's all about technology. And so that class forced me into an uncomfortable place, which is where I needed to be. And for the first time in my life, I created a Facebook page for the class and I had to report out on it. And so that experience taught me a lot. And I think it propelled me to being a better leader. So that would have to be my most impactful class.
Excellent. And I think that answers about all these questions that we have here. And that's what we were hoping is that the one that you found the most difficult or the most useful and how you applied that, how you overcame and were able to soldier on through. And so that's an excellent response. How are you a better leader, or describe your leadership that you now that you know a little bit about it or a lot about it, you're now an expert in leadership. How has this affected you and what you know about leadership and how you apply that leadership in an everyday setting?
Probably the biggest change for me is learning adaptability and the importance of adaptability. Change is constant. Most of us don't like it, but whether we like it or not, it happens every second of the day. And it is important as a leader. It's important, period, to be able to change, to adapt to change as it comes, to be able to be inquisitive, to be open to criticism, to be an active listener, to actually care about the people that you're listening to care about the people that you're leading, to care about the people that are on your bus per se. And so I don't know if that answers your question. That answers your question, but is to be more adaptable now than I have ever been.
I think you just described servant leadership, that you inspire and motivate others through your care for them, your personal relationships with them. And so that answers our last question about God and humanity, that you've learned to be a servant leader, that's the important part of leadership. So Kim, thank you. Excellent presentation this morning. I'll move on to Mr. Putnam now. Again, for those of you who have just joined us, we have with us today from our partnering organization, the City of Malden, the Human Resources Director, Mr. Mark Putnam. Mr. Putnam, again, thank you for partnering with us and with Kim and all that you've done. I have 2 questions for you. And the first is how has Kim impacted your organization?
Thank you for allowing me to be part of this. I want to say that, and thank you for allowing the City of Malden to be a part of it, because I truly believe we have received more than Kim has received from us. Because to start off with, how has Kim impacted our organization? It's you got to understand, and if you look at me, you don't see much hair, but if there was much here, it would be gray. So I'm old school, and old school was, you said, I want you to be healthy. And we did it basically out of wellness of the body. And we did it out of, and I hate to use the word greed, but it kind of was, because if you were healthy, you would not use our insurance as much. So we would not raise the premiums. And through Kim now, we have come to realize that it is not just that my body part is not what we need to be looking at for our employees. You used to say a healthy employee is a good employee. Well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. And by us now touching on these 6 areas, you know, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, the financial, and the social, that's really allowed us to truly make our employees, or work toward making them better people. Better people will be better employees. And one of the things that we talked about, especially in HR, is we're kind of cradle to grave, you know, as an employer. You know, you got them when they first come in and you got them when they leave. One thing that we have done really through her now is our onboarding has really started to take a look at, okay, we want you to understand that we are worried about your body, but we're worried about, can you pay your bills? Do you know how to pay your bills? Are you sociable? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then we also started looking at how we do our work here, and we were doing it in silos. And the public works knew the public works people, the police knew the police people, the fire department. So with that, and the social part of it, we've started bringing folks together, and we've done it a couple of ways. We started a newsletter that started highlighting 1 or 2 employees a week that says, hey, do you know this person? This is some of their hobbies. They're here, they're there. We've also started in that newspaper, new employees. I mean, nobody knew that there was a new employee unless they were in that department where they were just dumped into. You know, oh, here's John because he's here today. So we started doing that. Also with our employment engagement committee, we started that, and that has really taken off, because we started it more to just kind of look at some day-to-day things, but our employee engagement group now is of all of our departments, and they look at even our insurance now. We just finished up getting ready for open enrollment and our insurance renewal, and our employee and engagement committee was embedded in that. They now know why prices go up. They know why this is that. And it's not a big surprise for everybody. And they know each other. So, you know, it's really helped us all the way around. So I'm just going to say that from onboarding till somebody retires now, Kim has really helped us open up our eyes to see that, you know, it's not just, is my heart ticking? It's, is my heart in the right place? Is my mind in the right place? And so we've done that. And one of the constraints that she said was funding and things of that nature. And you guys work a lot, you know, with elected officials and things like that. So I was a little, how do I put it? A little apprehensive to say, hey, council, we're going to be looking at this. And one of the folks that I worried about the most when we started this, it's like a light went on in his head, and I didn't think he was going to say anything. And we actually have, and I've not told Kim this, because for this coming year, we have actually enhanced our tuition reimbursement we've almost doubled. Well, we have doubled what
Right.
you can get a year from the city for that. And that gentleman looked at me and he said, and one of them said, well, what if they leave us? And he looked at us and he said, if we've made them a better person, even if they stay here a year after they get that, they'll do a better job for us. And we've made them a better person as they go along. So it kind of, not only has it resonated from our city administrator down, but it's also began to resonate through our city officials. So once you say that, I think we can honestly say Kim's done her homework. She's done a great job for the city of Malden. So we are very appreciative of what she has brought to the table, brought to our attention, and the programs that we are now, ones that we've enhanced and ones that we have started to allow our employees to be much better off from one end to the other of the spectrum.
That's great. I could think of no more worthy project than this in during this era with COVID and all the resignations and retention problems that companies are having that link directly back to mental health issues and wellness. This is potentially the most timely project that you could have.
Yeah.
And we're certainly pleased.
Yeah, for the city of Malden, it could not have come at a better time because we were dealing with COVID. We were dealing with folks that were doing the job when nobody was supposed to be out there. You know,
Right.
Public Works was picking up the trash. The police were out there making sure everything was safe. And then especially the firefighters, they're having to go into homes. They don't even know what's going on. And we didn't realize until we started talking about this, that the mental challenges for these guys and these ladies and these men that were going into these situations, you know, they're coming out and we just thought it was part of the job. Well, no, it's weighing on their minds.
Exactly.
We've got to find a way for them to get that off their mind and to get it out there and say, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. So this could not have hit us at a better time than when it did.
That's just absolutely wonderful. What a tremendous partnership this has been. I
Yes.
commend you both. So I'll ask the question, and I think I know the answer. Is there any reason that Kim should not be awarded her doctoral degree in organizational leadership from Gardner-Webb University?
No, sir, not in the view of me or the city of Malden. She should receive it.
Well, again, thank you, Mr. Putnam, for partnering with Kim and with Gardner-Webb University. It's been a mutually beneficial relationship, and thank you very much.
I'm going to say it's been more beneficial for the city of Malden than for Kim, but that's the way I'll leave it there.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Kim, to whom much is given, much is required. You must have a mind for learning, a heart for service, and above all, remember the family aspect of this, that you're part of the DEOL family now, as you are the city of Malden's family. That servant leadership, we expect you to be a servant leader always. You're going to be the only Gardner-Webb that some people are ever going to encounter. You need to be an authority, an ambassador, and you always need to remember to operate in what you know versus what you think. That's what the discipline inquiry process is all about. So everybody that's with us today, I'll stop my share so we can see everybody on the screen. I'd like for you to welcome the newest minute doctor from Gardner-Webb University, Dr. Kim Roberts. Congratulations. Kim, you can't believe how proud we are of you. What you have gone through during the course of this program. I got down on my knees last night and prayed. I went old school. I got down next to the bed last night for my regular prayers. I didn't just lay there last night. I got down on my knees and thanked the Lord for his grace, for getting you through this program. It didn't have anything to do with me. It had to do with God's grace. I cannot even fathom the difficulty that you have lived through. It's beyond my comprehension, and the only answer I have is God's grace. That's all it can be, and I am thankful for that. And you are an inspiration for me and for all of us. What you have done, I'm not very eloquent. I don't have the words, but I am a better person for having known you, and I'm appreciative of that. And so I'll give you a second to collect yourself and let you have the final word before I close this in prayer.
I want to say thank you to you and to Dr. Hamilton and to all of the professors who I have had the privilege of sitting in class with. I have taken something from each and every one of you that no one will ever be able to take away from me. I'm grateful to my cohort, to TC, congratulations for award on yesterday. Donald, yours is on the way. Jackie, yours is on the way. Angela, yours is on the way. We have developed a relationship and a bond that no one will ever be able to break. And I'm so appreciative of my cohort members. I am grateful to God, of course, because without him, nothing is possible. And to my family, my church family, all of those, my friends who have supported me. And then lastly, to the man that you see in the picture behind me, who has been a constant support, even in his absence. And for those of you who do not know, and Mr. Putnam, I didn't even share this with you, but my husband passed away last year, September. And so at that point, I was ready to give up everything. I was ready to give up this program. I was ready to give up life, period, because I couldn't see life without this man. But I kept hearing his voice in my head telling me to go forward, that you can do this. Don't stop. This is what you were born to do. And so because of his strength and because of God's grace, I am here. And so I am eternally grateful to the essence and the memory of my beloved Leo, whom I miss every single day. And it's because of my cohort. It's because of the staff. It's because of my family and friends. And it's because of God that I am here. And so I am forever and eternally grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we know Leo is with you every day, and we're appreciative of that. Dr. Hamilton, you have anything before the prayer?
I just want to, again, Mr. Putnam, thank you so much for partnering with Kim. And Kim, thank you for choosing Gardner Webb. Again, we often get much more from our students than we think our students get from us. But this goes back to the purpose we started this program in 2014. We wanted to make an impact with people, with organizations, and today is what a testimony, Kim. What a testimony you have with the challenges you've had to overcome. And this is just a beginning. This is a new lease moving forward for you, Kim, and we are so proud of you. Please don't forget us. Check in with us from time to time. Come back to the summer leadership and come back and share what you've learned and things that you're doing. And we're so proud of you. We're like proud papas today. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I can say, I did not thank Mr. Putnam. Thank you. You know how much I appreciate you and how much I've enjoyed this partnership. And Dr. Lamb, I will let you know that if hearing you say Dr. Kim Roberts is anything like hearing the good master say, well done, then I'm good.
Thank you. I'll close this in prayer. And then Kim, I'll go over a couple things with you. But I'll go ahead and close in prayer now for those of you who are in attendance. Our prayer today is in extension of Gardner Webb's motto, Pro Deo et Humanitate, for God and humanity. So our prayer today is, let me serve you, from St. Teresa of Avila. So if you'll pray with me. Govern everything by your wisdom, O Lord, so that my soul may always be serving you in the way that you will and not as I choose. Let me die to myself so that I may serve you. Let me live to you who are life itself. Amen. Thank you all for joining this morning. Kim, just as a reminder to get all your things over to Digital Commons. And as soon as you have done that, you will be through. We will hopefully see you on Saturday, December the 11th. Be on campus at 8. The commencement service is at 9. You'll be hooded at that service. Then you and your family are invited to the College of Education event at Tucker Student Center at 11. And we'll have our program there and our reception. And so hopefully we'll see you on December the 11th.
Yes,
all right,
sir. That is the plan. Yes, sir.
That's it. All right. Look at this. nobody would ever believe that I finished on time. It's 10:45. Thank you all. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you.